All right, so military officials and veterans commemorating the 81st anniversary of D-Day. Allied forces stormed Normandy Beach to liberate Western Europe from the Nazis in World War II.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was there for the ceremony, and he joins us now. Hey, Pete.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. It was an historic day. Thank you for being there. Tell us about the ceremony and what you've been doing this morning.
Well, just incredible. You know, in fact, I started my morning doing PT on the beach. Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment, right there on Omaha Beach, just about at the exact time that the first landing craft would have hit. And I'll tell you, it's pouring now, of course, as it happens. You look back toward the land from the beach and you realize there's nothing there but German guns. And these men were willing to charge toward the guns with almost no chance of success, especially in those first waves, and they did it for us. So we just finished a ceremony here at the Arlington Cemetery, where over 9,000 Americans are buried. And there were about 25 World War II vets still there, still here. And I had a chance to meet every single one of them after the ceremony. And they all said we'd do it again. We did it for freedom. We did it for our brothers. We did it for our hometown, for those that we loved, and for those that are still here in the cemetery. So it's just a reminder, 81 years later, guys. And the contrast of those 100-year-old World War II vets and then those 25-year-old Army Rangers that I did a workout with this morning, like that kind of, the blood of fighting for freedom still pumps in the veins of Americans, and we still raise those types. And that's what was really cool to see here today and have a chance to honor them.
So, Mr. Secretary, we know you're a little biased toward the Army because you were in the Army. My grandfather, dad, grandmother, all were in the Army. We just got the new numbers out. It looks like 61,000 soldiers for the fiscal year of 2025. Now, that's up from the 55,000 in the fiscal year of 2024. And, of course, it goes on and on. What is the shift in the recruitment numbers for the Army? Is it the morale shift? What is happening?
Lawrence, it's historic. Of course it's a morale shift. It shifts back to the day President Trump was elected and then inaugurated. The spirit inside our armed forces is incredible. And it's not just the Army. You showed the Army numbers 4 months ahead of time. It's also the Air Force. It's also the Navy. It's also the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and as the president says, law enforcement. I mean, across the board, the spirit of our country, the willingness and desire to serve, because they see leadership that believes in the country, that's going to have their back, that says, we want you to be warriors. We're not doing this politically correct garbage anymore. We're doing war fighting. We're training. We're preparing. We're focused on back to basics. And the American people respond. The young people of America have responded, and they'll continue to respond. So the question is, do we have enough slots in basic training? We're working on that. But it's amazing to watch that revival. And I credit the president and our leadership for getting back to that. And we thank the American people, the families of America, who are bestowing their most precious gift, young people, to us. Our job is to do right by them, just like we did 81 years ago here on this beach. But it's a reminder that when given the right direction and mission, Americans are still prepared to step up, which is pretty cool to see.
So, Mr. Secretary, we know that the U.S. Army Secretary was up in front of Capitol Hill saying what he needs now that they're looking to modernize the Army. You're going to be on Capitol Hill saying, hey, I'm getting an extra $144 billion. This is what I want to do with it. For us non-military people, can you give us an idea of what your message is going to be on Capitol Hill as we try to get the Trump-Hegseth Defense Department up and running?
No doubt. It's revive the warrior ethos and reestablish deterrence. Those are two big things. You know, we need warriors, and we need to make sure we're deterring our enemies. In order to do that, and this is the big key message, because these are all budget hearings, is rebuild our military. President Trump did it in his first term. He's going to do it in this term. I mean, Brian, with that 144 in reconciliation, you're looking at the first $1 trillion national defense budget, with historic investments in the Golden Dome, in F-47, in the B-21, in shipbuilding, in our industrial base, in hypersonics, in drones. We have the best military in the world, and we will soon have by far the most advanced and capable military in the world. I was at NATO yesterday, calling on our allies to spend more, up to 5% of their defense budget, which they need to be doing. They need to be shouldering the burden. But we're by the way, they said, for the most part, we're working on one or two countries, but almost everybody said we're in. Think about where we were under the first administration of Donald Trump. At 1%, some of these countries now they're on their way to 3, 4, 5% defense spending. That's burden sharing. That's asking our allies like France, who are stepping up, by the way, to do more. They've committed to that 5% pledge. So we're not just asking countries, though, Brian, to your question, we're leading the way by investing in our own defense, by ensuring that we're prepared for that next fight. We have those advanced technologies that the men who have to, arrive on a beach in the future have the best possible equipment in their hands so they're not in a fair fight. That's my job. So these are budget hearings. Let's see if we could stay focused on budget. And we're gonna talk about how we're investing in our military and how President Trump is doing so in a generational way.
You know, Pete, I listened to a soldier who was there in an interview, and he said a lot of men that came back from the war didn't want to talk about their war stories because what they saw was so horrific. And so we need to pass these stories on to our children. You're talking about the next generation of the men that will go and storm the next beach. How do we share those stories? My grandfather, both of them were in World War II, and my mother, I remember my grandmother with all of her friends sitting around in their living room talking about Tom Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation, when that came out, and how that was the best book they had read in a long time. And then I remember interviewing my grandfather for a class project about what he saw in World War II. How do we pass these stories along so that we can make sure that sentiment is shared with the next generation?
It's the right question, Ainsley, because I asked the question in my speech today, could I do what those men did? Could you do? Could we do? Could our society muster that kind of courage and commitment and belief in ourselves, in our American republic? You only do that when you believe in yourself. When you educate a generation of young people to, honor God and defend the Constitution, that doesn't just happen by accident. It happens through families and churches and schools and civic organizations that remind kids of why America is a special place. So you got to ask those vets, right? And there aren't as many World War II vets around to ask, ask those Korean War vets and Vietnam vets and Gulf War vets and Cold Warriors and Afghan and Iraq vets. What was your service? And if they don't want to talk about it, they won't. And maybe they'll write it down someday and share it. Then read about it. But honor them by following through and acknowledging what they did, and then go into our educational institutions and codify it, share it. President Trump's huge on that. We need real patriotic education. It's something certainly we support at the Defense Department.
So, Mr. Secretary, you talked about that past war. Let's talk about some of the conflicts that are happening today, and one of them is the threat of Iran. We get that Israel needs to defend itself against Iran, but Iran is also our enemy as well. Can you take us into some of the stuff you can share about the negotiations? The president has made it very clear, no nuclear weapon and no enrichment. Are they coming closer, the United States, to a deal with Iran? Or is it no use in trying because they have an ideology that is radical, that is never going to surrender?
Well, Lawrence, certainly we hope a deal is possible. I mean, President Trump has said Iran will not get nuclear weapons. President Trump has also said he's committed to a peace and negotiation process. Let's hope that's fruitful. Ultimately, that's not my department. My department is to be prepared should that not happen. And we're hopeful that peace happens, that there is no enrichment, that they are willing to deconstruct their nuclear capabilities. But at the same time, from our view, we're prepared should the president call on us. But again, we're hoping Steve Witkoff and his team, we know how dedicated they are to peace, and we're hoping that's ultimately the outcome.
So today in the Wall Street Journal, building on Lawrence's point, it says Iran has ordered material from China for hundreds of ballistic missiles. And a lot of it goes to the Houthi rebels, who you are understanding, since you guys took over, the Houthi rebels are not targeting us, they're just targeting Israel. But if they're getting ballistic missiles, that's a direct threat to America. You have to wonder at what point this become an American problem.
Well, we've been supporting Israel for a long time, and we continue to. They're our allies, and we believe in that. When it comes to the Houthis, ultimately, we had a very narrow mission set, intentionally, because you can invest in these things, and suddenly, months and months and years later, you're cascading in a broader mission than you ever intended. So President Trump said from the beginning, we want to open freedom of navigation. We're not going to allow our ships to get shot at without response. Freedom of navigation is central to the U.S. Navy, and commerce around the world. And so we set out to do that, and we've done that. And we've established that, and we'll continue to maintain that. But we also know what Iran does. It proliferates. It proliferates weapons to its proxies, thankfully many of which are a lot weaker than they were today. We also know they're trying to reconstitute missile defenses and missile capabilities in real time. So we understand directly the threat that Israel is under from Iran. We have supported the efforts they've undertaken to degrade that, and we're monitoring very closely. That's my job, is to make sure through the CENTCOM commander that we are prepared, and we're watching that situation and we're postured accordingly.
All right. Well, Pete, you're celebrating your birthday. It is D-Day. You're there on the beaches of Normandy. Thank you so much for being with us. We're glad you were born. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go get him, Pete.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.